Hey everybody, Mr. Anderson here to teach you about how to find the area of a sector. Area of a sector is just part of the area of a circle. So you're going to want to remember that the area for a circle is area equals pi times the radius squared. We're going to use 3.14 for pi, and then what we're going to do once we find the area of the whole circle, we're going to use that information and set up a proportion to find the area of just a part of the circle. Let's give it a try. So here it says find the area of the shaded sector. Easy for me to say. So what we're looking for is this part right here, all this shaded part. How much is all of this? That's why it's shaded. So first you need to find the area of the circle. So that's just area equals pi times the radius squared. Now in this problem it's nice because they give us the radius, which is 4.5 inches. So all I have to do is plug that into my formula. 3.14, get my color back to blue here, times my radius squared. Remember, radius squared is just the number times itself, so 4.5 times 4.5. If you've got a nice calculator, you can just use the squared button, or if you're using your phone, it's maybe easier to expand it out. So when you type that in your calculator, you get 3.14 times 4.5 times 4.5, and you get 63.585. So that's the area of the whole circle, 63.585. Now in this case, my circle is broken into 5 pieces, and you have 4 of the 5 pieces shaded. So your central angle, since I know the pieces, I can just write it as a fraction as 4/5. So that makes things pretty easy from that standpoint. We have 4/5 of the circle is shaded. So I can use that to set up my proportion. I have 4 shaded pieces, kind of an ugly 4. 4 shaded pieces out of the 5 pieces total, so that's the part over the whole, the part that's shaded out of the whole circle. I know the area of the whole circle, whole goes on bottom, 63.585. And I'm looking for the part that's shaded, x. So I take my 63.585, I can find a connecting number here. I can divide 63.585 divided by 5. You get 12.717. So I divide to find my connecting number, and I got 12. My answer there was 12.717. Then what I'm going to do is multiply by 4 to get my area of my sector. So times 4. If you just leave that 12.717 in your calculator, hit times 4, and you don't have to worry about typing it back in, you should get the area of this sector to be 50.868. And since it's area, it's inches squared. There's your answer. Let's try another example. In this problem, they just give us the sector of the circle. Now, we could imagine this whole circle here, not a very good circle, looks something like that. I'm sure your circle would be much prettier than mine. But we just start by finding the area, just like we did in the last problem. And since we know the radius here is 6, it's just area equals 3.14 times 6 times 6. Radius squared is just 6 times 6. Type that in your calculator. You'll find the area of this circle to be 113.04 meters squared. Now this problem's a little bit different than the last problem because they just give us this central angle of 28 degrees. It's not cut into pieces, so you couldn't use a fraction like 4/5 like we did in the last problem. You just know that the central angle is 28 degrees, which is nice because they give it to us. So when I set up my proportion, the central angle really means the whole circle, if you go around the whole way, is 360 degrees. Every circle is 360 degrees. But the part that we have is just this little sector, 28 degrees. So I'm going to set up my proportion using the degrees. I have 28 degrees of the circle. A whole circle is 360 degrees. I'm looking for the part that represents the area of the sector, but I know the whole is 113.04. So I have my proportion set up. Again, we're going to divide to find your connecting number. Then you're going to multiply by the top number to figure out the area of that sector. So 113.04 divided by 360, that should get you 0.314. Leave that in your calculator, times 28. You end up with the area of this sector being 8.792 meters squared. One last example. It says, in my front yard, my dog has to be tied up on a 12-foot rope. Determine the area of the sector that she has to walk around it. So there's a picture down below there. Here's your dog. This is the area that your dog can walk around in. Okay. Notice it gives you the radius of 12 feet from the edge of the corner of the house here to the outside. All right, so I can find the area of that whole thing. So area equals pi 3.14 times 12 squared. 12 times 12. Okay, type that in my calculator. I get the whole area. That would even include, like, if the dog could walk over here, in this area here, the whole area is 452.16 feet squared. Now the dog can't walk in the whole area, and you'll notice that this right angle here is 90 degrees. So the whole circle is 360 degrees. If you take away the 90 degrees, that means that the dog can walk in the sector that's 270 degrees. I just subtracted off the 90 degrees, which came from knowing this is a right angle. So I can set up my proportion because that's my central angle. 270 out of 360 equals, so that's part over whole. I'm looking for the part up above there, but I know the whole circle would be 452.16. Remember, I'm going to divide to find my connecting number. 452.16 divided by 360. That gets me 1.256. I'm going to leave that in my calculator. Now I'm going to multiply that times 270. That gets me my answer. So I divide that going that way, I multiply coming back this way. My answer is 339.12 feet squared. So that's the area of the sector that the dog can walk around in. Then it says determine the length of the arc. So this goes back to what we learned yesterday. The length of the arc really talks about if the dog's walking on the end of its leash, this green highlighted area. Well, that goes back to the idea of perimeter. So you need to find the circumference. Circumference is the same thing as perimeter of a circle. C equals pi times d. Now, remember, we have the radius in this problem. That's what they gave us. But I need the diameter. So the diameter across the circle is just 2 of the radius. So the diameter is 24. So it's going to be 3.14 times 24. So the circumference of the whole circle, if I went all the way around, is 75.36 feet. And that's just the distance, so it's just in feet, not feet squared. So 75.36 feet. I already know my central angle is 270 degrees, so now I can find my arc length. 270 over 360 equals, I'm looking for the part on the top, but the whole circumference is 75.36. Okay. Gonna divide to find my connecting number. That's a 0 there. So 75.36 divided by 360. It gets you a really ugly decimal. It's 0.209, and then the 3 repeats. Just leave that ugly decimal in your calculator, multiply it by 270, and you get a much nicer decimal. Your your arc length is 56.62 feet. Hopefully that helps you. If you have any questions, remember to reach out to your teacher via email, and we're more than happy to help you so that you can understand how to do this. Have a great day.